You're 11 years old, lying in a cold hospital bed in Rosario, Argentina. The doctor just looked at your parents with that serious face and said, "His body is too small. He will never grow properly. Football is over for him." Tears are rolling down your cheeks. Your tiny legs feel weak under the thin hospital sheet. The room smells like medicine and fear. That broken little boy staring at the ceiling, wondering if his dream just died? That's you. And today, in this first part of your story, you're about to live every raw, painful, and unstoppable step from that hospital bed to becoming one of the greatest footballers the world has ever seen. The boy who proved doctors, critics, and the entire system wrong. You were born on June 24th, 1987, in the working-class neighborhood of Las Heras in Rosario. Your full name is Lionel Andres Messi Cucitini. You're the third of four children, big brothers Rodrigo and Matias, and little sister Maria Sol. Your dad, Jorge, worked long shifts at a steel factory making parts for cars. Your mom, Celia, worked in a magnet factory. Money was always tight. The family lived in a small house where the walls were thin and the love was loud. Football wasn't just a game in your home. It was life. Your dad coached a local kids team called Grandali. You were kicking a ball before you could even walk straight. By the time you were 3, you were already joining in with the bigger boys, dodging between their legs like a little shadow. At age 6, you officially joined Gruntoli. The coaches couldn't believe how good this tiny kid was. You'd run past defenders twice your size, the ball glued to your left foot like magic. People started calling you La Pulga, the flea, because you were so small but impossible to catch. Then at 7, you moved up to Newell's Old Boys, the biggest club in Rosario. Your team became known as the Machine of 87. You scored goal after goal, hundreds of them. In one tournament, you scored 36 goals in a single season. Opponents would put 3 players on you and still fail. But something was wrong. You weren't growing. By age 10, you had barely grown since you were 9. Your parents took you to doctor after doctor. Tests, blood work, x-rays, everything. The diagnosis at 11 was devastating. Growth hormone deficiency. Without expensive nightly injections, you would stay under 1.40 meters tall forever. The treatment cost nearly $1,000 every single month. Your family's insurance only covered part of it. Newell's Old Boys helped a little, but it wasn't enough. Every night you had to inject yourself in the leg. A little kid, needle in hand, no crying, no complaining. You did it because football was your oxygen. You kept shining on the pitch anyway. But big clubs in Argentina were scared to invest in a boy who might never grow. Your dream of going pro was slipping away. Then, in 2000, when you were just 13, a scout from FC Barcelona watched a video of you playing. They invited you and your dad for a trial in Spain. You stepped onto the grass at La Masia, Barcelona's famous academy, and destroyed every kid in sight. The coaches were speechless. Barcelona offered the deal of a lifetime. They would pay for your entire medical treatment, move your whole family to Spain, and give you a spot in their youth system. It was everything you ever wanted, but it meant leaving Rosario behind. You cried the day you left. Your grandmother Cecilia, the loudest voice in the stands cheering for you, had passed away not long before. The plane ride to Barcelona felt like forever. When you landed, everything was different. The language, the food, the weather, the people. At 13, you were the smallest kid in La Masia. Some older boys made fun of your thick Argentine accent. Others laughed at how tiny you were. Coaches secretly wondered if your body could survive the physical demands of professional football. Homesickness hit you like a truck every single night. You missed your friends, your street games, the smell of asado on weekends. But you never complained out loud. Instead, you stayed back after training. You dribbled alone in the rain. You practiced your left foot until it felt like part of your soul. The injections continued every night. Slowly, painfully, your body started to respond. You grew a few centimeters, then a few more. By 16, you were already training with Barcelona's first team. On October 16th, 2004, at just 17 years and 3 months old, you made your official debut in La Liga against Espanyol. You came on as a substitute. The Camp Nou stood up and roared. You became the youngest player ever to play for Barcelona in the league. But it wasn't all glory. Your body was still catching up. Hamstring injuries, muscle tears, they kept coming. Critics wrote articles saying you were too fragile, too small, too one-dimensional. He'll never last, they said. You read every word and turned the doubt into fire. You trained even harder. The 2005-06 season was your real explosion. You scored your first La Liga goal against Albacete, then your first Champions League goal. You helped Barcelona win the league and the Champions League that year. But the true turning point came in 2008 when Pep Guardiola took over as manager. Suddenly you, Xavi, and Iniesta became the heartbeat of the team. In the 2008 to 2009 season, you scored 38 goals in all competitions. You won your first Ballon d'Or in 2009 at age 22. The little boy from the hospital bed who doctors said would never grow properly was now officially the best player on the planet. That season, you lifted the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. The world was watching in disbelief. You kept going. 2010, 2011, 2012, 3 Ballon d'Or in a row. In 2012, you scored 91 goals in a single calendar year, a record people still talk about today. You became Barcelona's all-time top scorer. You broke record after record like it was nothing. The MSN trio with Neymar and Luis Suarez turned into pure football magic. You scored, assisted, created, and destroyed defenses week after week. Another treble in 2015, another Ballon d'Or. By now, you had 6 Ballons d'Or. You were the face of the club, the heartbeat of an entire city. But fame came with a price. The media followed your every move. Paparazzi waited outside your house. Every little thing you did became headlines. You stayed quiet and focused. You met Antonella Rocuzzo when you were very young. She was also from Rosario and understood the boy you used to be. You kept your relationship private for years while the whole world tried to dig into your life. Your dad became your agent. Your mom and siblings moved with you to support you. Family was your safe place. You still drank yerba mate every morning, the same Argentine ritual that reminded you where you came from. Injuries kept testing you. Ankle problems in 2013 to 14 and 2014 to 15. The 2014 World Cup final loss with Argentina broke your heart. The criticism was brutal. People said you couldn't win the big one for your country. You felt every word, but you never shouted back. You answered on the pitch. You came back stronger. More La Liga titles, more individual awards. You became the captain of Barcelona. The boy who once injected himself every night in a small Rosario house was now leading one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is where part 1 of your life ends. On the edge of true greatness. You have already rewritten football history. You have gone from the hospital bed diagnosis to 6 Ballon d'Ors, multiple trebles, and the love of millions. But the biggest battles, the ones that would make you immortal, the World Cup glory, the move away from Barcelona, the final chapters of your career, those are still ahead. You are living proof that no doctor, no critic, no obstacle can stop a dream when it lives inside your heart. The journey from that cold hospital room to the lights of the Camp Nou was built on sacrifice, silent nights of training, and an unbreakable will. And this is only the beginning of what you became. You stand at the peak of club football, 6 Ballon d'Or already in your cabinet, yet the biggest mountain still feels impossible to climb. This is where the second, deeper chapter of your life begins. Not about fighting your body anymore, but about fighting your own mind. The weight of a nation's expectations and the cruel voice of the world that says, you'll never be complete without an international trophy. The message here is raw. True greatness is forged in the fire of repeated heartbreak, silent resilience, and the unbreakable decision to keep showing up even when every headline screams that you failed. You are about to live the years that turned you from a generational talent into an immortal legend. After the magical 2015 treble with the MSN trio, you keep dominating La Liga. You win title after title. You become Barcelona's all-time top scorer, breaking every single record that once belonged to legends. But inside, something is eating at you. The 2014 World Cup final loss in Brazil still burns. And the criticism is non-stop. Messi can't win the big one for Argentina. He disappears in the knockouts. He's not like Maradona. You read every word, feel every word, but you never answer with tweets or press conferences. You answer with the ball, you train harder, study opponents longer, push your body even when it screams. That mental steel is what separates you now. You learn to carry the pressure like a second skin. 2016 Copa America final. You reach it again. You lose on penalties to Chile, the pain is crushing. Days later, you post a short message announcing you are retiring from international football. I've done everything I can, you write. The entire country begs you to come back. Millions of fans, former players, even the president of Argentina send messages. Your family surrounds you. Your wife Antonella reminds you who you are. After a few weeks, you announce your return. That decision, that quiet, private moment when you chose to keep fighting despite the hurt, becomes the turning point of your legacy. It teaches every kid watching that even the greatest feel like quitting, but legends choose to continue. You keep winning with Barcelona. More La Liga titles, more individual awards. The 2018 World Cup in Russia ends in the round of 16. More criticism. Messi is finished, they say. You stay silent. You go back to the training ground. You evolve your game again. More playmaking, more leadership, more vision. Then 2021 arrives like destiny. Copa America in Brazil. You are 34, supposedly past your prime. You lead Argentina like a general on the battlefield. You score, you assist, you inspire a young team full of belief. You win the final against Brazil on their home soil, you finally win it. The trophy you chased for 15 years is yours. You cry on the pitch, surrounded by your teammates who lift you up. The whole nation explodes in celebration. For the first time, you feel the weight lift. You say later in interviews, "This one was for all the people who suffered with me, who believed when no one else did." That same year, you win your 7th Ballon d'Or, but you are not done. 2022 World Cup in Qatar. You are 35. Many experts say it is your last chance. The world watches to see if you can finally complete the story. You start the tournament with fire in your eyes. You score against Mexico when Argentina needs it most. You carry the team through every round. The semi-final against Croatia, you assist the winner with pure genius. And then the final against France, the greatest World Cup final in history. You score twice, including a penalty in extra time. It goes to shootout. You step up first and score. Argentina wins 4-2 on penalties. You lift the World Cup trophy. You run around the pitch with it on your back, tears streaming down your face while 40 million Argentines celebrate back home like it's the greatest day in history. You win the Golden Ball again. You become the first player ever to win it twice. In that single moment, every criticism, every final loss, every time the world doubted you, it all disappears. You have done the impossible. You are now a World Cup champion. The club chapter changes after that. Barcelona's financial problems force you to leave in 2021. You join PSG. 2 seasons in Paris bring League One titles, but it never feels like home. The spotlight is intense. You stay professional, keep performing, but your heart is elsewhere. In 2023, you make the surprise move to Inter Miami in MLS. People call it a retirement league. You prove them wrong instantly. You win the League's Cup in your first months. You link up with your old friend Luis Suarez again and create magic. In 2024 and 2025, you lead Inter Miami to back-to-back MLS Cups. You win MLS MVP in both seasons. First player ever to do it consecutively. At 38 years old in 2026, you are still playing at an elite level, still scoring wonder goals, still assisting like a magician. Your career goal tally has crossed 900. You are preparing for what could be your final World Cup in 2026 on North American soil, captaining Argentina to defend the title you brought home. But your life today is more than football. This is the part where you live as a living legend who has learned balance. You wake up every morning in your beautiful home in Miami. The first thing you do is drink yerba mate, the same Argentine ritual that keeps you connected to Rosario. You spend real time with your wife, Antonella, and your 3 sons, Tiago, Mateo, and Ciro. You take them to school, play football with them in the garden, watch cartoons, listen to their stories. You have said many times, "Being a father has changed my life for the better." I enjoy every single moment. Family is your anchor. You protect them fiercely from the spotlight. You live quietly, no wild parties, no scandals, no chasing fame. You train smart now, gym sessions, swimming, recovery work, a careful diet. Your body has been through war, but your discipline keeps it ready. Social media is something you handle carefully. You post mostly family moments and football highlights. You once joked, "Every little thing I do becomes a big story. If I unfollow someone, it turns into a whole drama." So you keep it simple and real. You don't chase trends or viral moments. You don't need to. The world already follows you because of who you are, not what you post. You have learned over the years how to ignore the noise. The mental resilience you built from those early hospital nights, from the World Cup heartbreaks, from the constant criticism. It now protects your peace. You have faced every kind of pressure imaginable, being called too small, too quiet, not clutch enough, not a leader. Every single time the world tried to write you off, you responded with silence and excellence. You never changed who you are. You stayed humble. You stayed focused on the game you love. That is the real message of this part of your life. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about getting back up every single time, even when the fall hurts the most. You turned every doubt into motivation. You turned every loss into fuel, and because of that, you became more than a player. You became the dream that every kid kicking a ball in the street still believes is possible. In 2026, you are 38 years old. You're still competing at the highest level. You are still inspiring millions. You have 8 Ballon d'Or. You have won everything there is to win. Yet you still walk onto the training pitch every day like you have something to prove. That hunger never left you. Your journey from the tiny boy in the hospital bed who was told football was over, through the lonely nights in La Masia, through the World Cup tears, all the way to lifting that golden trophy in Qatar, and building a life of quiet greatness in Miami. It was never about luck. It was about mental strength, love for the game, and the decision to keep going when every voice said, stop. You are not just Lionel Messi the footballer anymore. You are the living proof that dreams can survive every obstacle, every doubt, and every heartbreak. You showed the world that even when you reach the top, the real test is staying true to yourself and rising again after every fall. Your life as Lionel Messi is the ultimate lesson in resilience. The greatest stories are not written by those who never fail, but by those who refuse to let failure define them. This is your life. This is your legacy. And it continues to inspire every single person who dares to dream big.